Hello, my friends. It's time for question number 2. So, just giving this a quick read, we are looking for the next greater element of some element x that we find an index such that it is equal to. And just to be clear on our approach, we can quickly check, and we see that these are unique. So, there's only one instance where this index will be true. So, all we need to solve this is some mapping of um, nums to value to nums to next greatest. So once we have this mapping, then we can simply iterate for value in nums1 append answer, right? So we can do this. And then the question becomes, how do we generate this mapping? And since we are only looking at the next greater element, I think we can work backwards. And essentially, we generate this array of sorts, but really, more than an array, it could be a dictionary because it doesn't matter. And if we want to be able to access the values at in O1 time, this would have to be a dictionary. So we can convert this into a dictionary. It should be straightforward. I guess the last thing that we have to keep in mind before we go ahead with our implementation is that it's the next greater, not greatest. Which means we have to search for a value that is greater but only slightly greater, as opposed to the max up to that point, right? So it's not like a prefix or a suffix array where we simply look for the maximum. And then there's also this guarantee that all the integers of nums1 are nums2. So the size doesn't have to be the same, but if it's a nums1, it's a nums2. So the key will always be valid. Okay, so let's iterate true nums2. So we can start with previous. Okay, we can just do nums to mapping. Okay, so this is for nums2, and it's an empty dictionary. Then we go for value in len in range length of nums2 to
Hello, can you hear me?
hello minus
Calling
1.
Enrico.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Uh,
Okay, so for value in range length num2 to minus 1 minus 1. We also have to start with minus 1 because otherwise the index value is too large. Okay, length num2 minus 1 to minus 1, so means it stops at 0, and we decrement. Another way to do this is by using for range reversed, which I think is a neater approach, but I don't remember the syntax. So reversed for range Python. Okay, we can just see if we get an example. Okay, so for reverse range 5. Yep, so that is the neater approach. So I will do that for reversed range length nums2, right? Which means we just iterate from 0 all the way to nums2, but we do so backwards. if nums2 val be index, if nums2 I not in greatest map, uh, well, one thing we can do is we can have previous equals -1. If num2 if previous equals to -1, we don't need a previous. So we can simply check if the map is empty. Okay, no. Alright, so previous I'll use here is to represent largest seen so far. So we don't search unnecessarily. Alright, so if previous is lesser than or equal to nums2 we know that we haven't seen a next greatest. And so in the greatest map, we can set nums2 equals to -1. And then previous will just be the max so far. Previous. Okay. For clarity, we can call it prev max equals to max nums2 I, comma prev max. And the reason we do this is just so that we don't waste time, is in essence. Right. Okay. And then we know if prev max so in the case that previous max does exist and it's greater than nums2 the question then becomes how do we search? So I think the easiest way we can do so is we iterate toward the right and we just look for the first value that's larger. This does have the unfortunate consequence of having a ON time where it is essentially looking for a value that is larger, which I believe makes our solution pretty much almost an ON squared as opposed to an ON solution. But I think given that I have 7 minutes left, I will code out the ON solution first. Okay, so greatest map else for j in range I comma len nums2 if j nums2 j greater than equal to nums2 I we update the greatest map to be, and we also catch a spelling mistake nums2 j and then we break from the for loop. At the very end we do the iteration for val res is an empty array for val in nums1 res dot append greatest map and then we can return result. Okay, curiously enough, this is a 2, which means my update function is not working as intended. So I'll print previous max. So -1, 2. So here it's -1, here it's 2, here it's 4. Alright, -1, 2, 4, 4. Yes. Okay, so that looks correct. So I will print greatest map to see if my map is correct. So 2 is -1, 4 is -1, 3 is index 3. Which is correct. But it should be the value. Oh, right. I believe that's the issue. That's why it's all the same. Okay, this looks good. And then we go ahead and submit. And we are done. We can finish the assignment and we are completed. Alright, thank you for joining me for these questions. These were both easies, so definitely some speed required. But thank you. We'll review those answers in another video.